Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Armen, and I'm here to talk to you all about modern art. Now, I expect that many of you have at least had some experience with modern art. And I'd be willing to bet that in your interactions with it, you found some pieces in which you maybe said to yourself, thought to yourself, I don't get it. Now, this phrase, I don't get it, is particularly interesting because to me it raises two questions. The first, is this a problem? And second, what does it mean to say, I don't get it, referring to modern art? Now, the first question. To me, this is a fairly straightforward question with a relatively simple answer. If we believe that art is good and that good things should be as accessible as possible, then people not getting art is an issue. Now, for the second question, what does it mean to say, I don't get it, referring to art? Now, in my view, to say that I don't get it is to invoke an interested attitude in your perception of artworks. Now, this distinction is made in the philosophy of art between the interested attitude and the disinterested attitude. Now, the interested attitude is a perspective on art in which the viewer embraces analysis. Now, this is analysis of course, is about the object itself, its physical aspects, but this analysis stretches far, far wider than this into ideological, historical, personal aspects of what the art is, what's it doing, and how is it interacting with our history, the history of ideas, and general ideology. Now, for the individual embracing this attitude, these are all very, very deeply important questions. And all of these factors, all of this external information is deeply important to these works of art. Now, in contrast, we have the disinterested attitude, which shuns analysis. For a person embracing the disinterested attitude, when faced with a work of art, their aim is to suffocate their analysis so that they can have as raw and as an unfettered experience of this art object, this artwork, as possible. Now, the disinterested attitude has gotten a lot of criticism, so much so that there are some theorists who say that it's actually impossible. We cannot retain our analysis to this level into where we could actually have this perspective on art. But that argument aside for a moment, it seems culturally and historically that the interested attitude has prevailed. Generally, when we think about aesthetic attitudes and aesthetic evaluation, we turn to the experts, namely people who are educated in art, people who have access to this body of knowledge that these physical artworks are attached to. Now, what is this doing for art, though? Well, I would argue to embrace the interested attitude is to treat artworks, these objects, like words, in the sense that it's not just a physical object, just as a word or a written word is not just a symbol or a scribble. No, it has meaning, it has a referent, it has attachments. Now, what does this mean for our layman viewer, our non-specialist viewer, which are most people? Well, it leaves them in a bit of a troubling situation, because when they're viewing art, many of them are implicitly thinking there is something to get about the art. There is a body of supervening knowledge or information around the object that unfortunately, unbeknownst to them, is not derivable from the physical experience of the object. So they have this expectation that they simply can't fulfill. So they say, I don't get it. Now, this is our problem. One pretty good example of this is what artists call ready-mades. Artworks in which are transformed into artworks. They are your everyday mundane objects that are transformed into artworks. I would say the most famous example of this is Duchamp's fountain, which was a ready-made urinal or a factory-made urinal that Duchamp signed and through his signature transformed into an artwork. Now, there's a difficulty here because say you are a layman viewer who knows nothing of Duchamp, they don't know the history of art, say the ideological factors. Again, this body of information, but nonetheless, they expect to have it. And so when they see the urinal on the museum wall, they know, well, this is art. It's in a museum. I know that much. But what does it mean? I can't figure it out. I don't get it. I'm then, in effect, alienated from it. Now, again, this is our problem. Now, first pass solution to this problem might be, well, education. However, unfortunately, I don't think that this is a fruitful solution because, well, it would be very difficult. A much easier solution would be to culturally embrace the disinterested attitude as a credible alternative. Not to say that the interested attitude isn't good or that we shouldn't embrace it, but rather that when a layman is faced with an object they don't get, maybe they should abandon trying to get anything. Maybe they should abandon this interested attitude and simply see where the experience of the artwork takes them. Thank you.